But to get started, I'm Aldric. That's my name. So yeah, scream that if you're stuck. And if you're unhappy, just send flames to dev null. I'm so glad this joke still gets some laughs. Unfortunately, I have no idea how to mirror my screen, so that's going to be kind of interesting. I don't actually do presentations with this laptop ever. This is kind of a summary of what we were going to do. I was hoping we'd have a table, but we don't. I'm going to do a particular setup where we're going to work with basically pomodoros. Do you guys know what those are? Raise your hand if you don't know what a pomodoro is. Cool. Tomato, yeah, right. It's a tomato. That's exactly what it is. Essentially, it is a time management technique, and we're going to work for 25 minutes, take a break for 5, and so forth. Because we do have a lot of material to cover, what I'm going to do is try to get everybody back by saying, if you can hear me, clap X number of times. So if you can hear me, clap twice. Fantastic, thank you. And this should help bring everybody back. This way we can actually have our cake and hopefully eat it as well. Not sure that's going to work, but we're going to try. So I don't know if you guys have a Code.io account. I don't know if you have Elixir set up on your machine. I was promised that Code.io would just work, and then like 2 days ago I did a test, and it turns out you guys have to pay $5 to join it. You can cancel right after, but that's a little disappointing. Yeah. Have you guys not heard?
You mentioned in the mailing about the LambdaConf that a lot of shop workshops will be using it.
Yeah. So
I have Elixir on my machine.
So who has no way of running Elixir code on their machine right now? One person. 1.5 person. Two people, because that's 2 half people. Okay, all right. With 2 half hands. So the website is codeio.com if you don't want to set up anything on your machine. Like if you have Macs, just brew install Elixir will work, and it's all you need. If you don't have a Mac, you should be able to figure something out.
You can still install Elixir. You'll still run.
Sorry?
You can still run Elixir if you don't have a Mac.
No, sorry, I meant...
You can't brew install.
Yeah, you can't brew install, but if you don't have a Mac, you probably have a package manager that works. You can probably figure things out yourself. You may even have a toolchain installed, so...
Is there a particular version that we should be running?
Anything above 1.4.2 is good. If you want to join the... So who intends to use Code.io for this?
I think I will.
Okay. All right. So when you go to the Code.io website, on the top right, it will say Join Class, and then it will ask you for a token. And I got the best token ever. I got classic-example. I'm very happy with this. And then after that, you will see like the unique module, which is a VM that has Elixir on it, and that's all you need. All right, where are we next?
Where is it? I'm sorry, in Codio, could you repeat?
Sorry?
In Codio, what are you?
Code.io, it's a website. Hang on a second. I can probably do this, maybe. This is the website. In the top right, it says Join Class.
Okay.
And here you type classic-example, and you should be fine.
Can you go back to where it says join class?
Maybe. You're asking me to do like navigation when I can't see anything?
Move the mouse.
Well,
A little bit more to the left. Yeah.
can we do blind navigation? Where's my mouse right now? I have no idea. All right, so
Okay,
join class at the top.
I'm already in the class. I see your name and intro to it.
Do you have to be signed in for the program? Sorry.
You will have to sign up for it.
You
Yeah.
have to sign up first, okay.
And then it'll be a $5 fee for the subscription, and you can cancel right after if you never intend to use it again.
That's not me.
That's classic.
This is only if you don't have Elixir set up on your machine and you don't want to bother installing it.
One more quick question. What's the password for the fund that copyright?
There shouldn't be one.
Okay, but you said there's a
Oh, there's a token, yes, a classic-example.
classic dash.
I will not get tired of saying that. Code samples. Wow, we just like skipped everything. Oh God. I can't see anything. I'm so sad. This is terrifying. Tell me when I erase more than like LC17 intro to Elixir. If I press enter now, will bad things happen?
No.
Cool. That was magical. We're off to a good start. So, again, this is me. We have, that's basically what we're going to do. Fair warning, I actually don't really know when lunch is. I hope it'll work out well, but we might have to interrupt a Pomodoro. If you get hungry or bored, or if for some reason I start speaking French, which is my mother tongue, just stop me, throw something at me.
French is a nice language.
Thank you.
It's somewhat similar to English, so you shouldn't have problems.
It might get in the way of the information transfer, but...
Yeah, that's true.
And apparently I planned for this to take about 25 minutes, so we're doing good so far. So one of the reasons why I wanted to give you guys the slides is because there's links to documentation, because you guys will be doing exercises and work, and you will have to go look up the documentation. This is also like my first time trying to use emojis seriously, so I welcome all feedback.
It's good.
All right, thanks.
Sorry, which channel did you post the slide to?
Intro-to-Elixir. Yep. You're also very welcome to use that to share things with yourselves. Like, you can ask questions in there, but actually I'll keep it open here. I should be fine. Wow, that's the first time I've seen the Slack message when so many people join. It says, along with some others.
Head down.
Yep. So we're going to begin by doing some work in the REPL, because that's what we always do, right? If you have a terminal and you're set up, typing IEX in the REPL is going to get you in it. It's interactive Elixir. Very similar to interactive Ruby, or interactive anything, really. And it should look very much like that. If it doesn't look like that, you have a problem. And unfortunately, I will have no idea how to fix it, because I've never had a problem launching the REPL. We're going to take a quick look at some of the fundamental tools that we have. We're going to essentially build our way up units of thought, but first we have to know, what a number is and what a string is, and then other important things. That should be surprising to just about nobody, but just in case, that's how numbers work. Wow, I really had not planned I wouldn't be able to read this. Oh yeah, strings and interpolation. Again, this is fairly standard. There is one caveat here, and this is important. Strings in Elixir are double quoted, like that. You get to use air quotes for real. If you use single quotes, you're going to be using an Erlang character list. That is almost never what you want. Among others, one reason is Erlang character lists don't do UTF-8 at all. So no emojis, very sad face. There will be reasons eventually later to get into it if you do like network stuff. But even then, just for now, assume that's just how strings work. If you get into a weird error message because you wrote code and you have no idea why it's not working, that's one of the first things to look at. That's where I got stuck a lot. Ranges, if you've done any Scala work, or Ruby or anything else, that's probably not too surprising. This just creates a data structure that is a range. It doesn't expand it at all, but you can work on it. You can do each, map, whatever. I should have probably asked before starting. I put a base level of confidence with functional programming at the class. Is anybody here a complete beginner in functional work? Okay, cool. If at some point I say something that sounds like, gibberish, it could be French, or it could be that I should explain it. So just, when in doubt, just stop me. You can throw something at me if you want. Just don't throw something hard. Maps. If you've done work with other, like Python, this would be called a dictionary. In Ruby, it's a hash. There's no real restrictions on the way those work, as you can tell. You can put string as a key and atom. And if you prefer, very statically typed languages, this will probably feel like heresy. I can understand why. That's why I put it there. In practice, you're bound to the other people on your team doing this, so feel free to hunt and hang them if they actually do that. You shouldn't do that. That's bad, but it's possible. Of course, we have lists, because why wouldn't we?
Is that an actual linked list in the implementation? Or?
Yes. Good question. If you were in the Haskell workshop yesterday, we're not going to do anything as crazy as trying to figure out how to reverse them or do things like that.
Okay. We'll just use the standard library.
Right.
Okay.
It turns out, I believe that's there for a reason. And atoms. There's a couple of things that are worth knowing about these. The most important one is those don't get garbage collected. So if you have a program that's going to just generate 1 million of them, you shouldn't do that. It's a bad idea. I will find a way to find you and hunt you down, and then try to explain why you shouldn't do that.
Is there a way to remove them?
Not as far as I know. It might be possible, but I've never had that problem, so I've never had to learn it. You find that the binds of my knowledge are very limited to what I've had to learn.
So the intention is that these are like keywords, or you might define a constant string in some other language.
Yeah, right.
So you should be making lots of them.
Right.
Do they all have the same memory address, like in Ruby?
I don't think it's implemented quite the same way, but essentially yes. They're all going to be the same. Yeah. Tuples. Who here does not? Raise your hand if you don't know what a tuple is. Okay. It is simply a way of grouping data structures together. That's it. There's absolutely nothing magical about them. And they're going to come in very, very handy later on when we start talking about how processes talk to each other, because of a convention that they have of returning the status as one element of the tuple and the actual data that's relevant as the other element. For now, you can mostly ignore them. We're not going to do a lot of work of trying to get to a particular element of the tuple, because most of the time we destructure, and that's how we work with them. And
It's like similar to L, maybe?
what do you mean by fixed length?
You can't append or anything? Like, two tuple or three tuple, it's like you pass around, it's always going to be that.
Yeah, once you have a tuple, that's just the tuple. You have to create a new one.
Okay.
You have to create me, but things starting with the colon are drawing atoms.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, I guess technically they're Elixir atoms, but the difference is tiny.
Okay.
I still have my mouse. I'm very happy. This is to get you started with getting input from the user, because that's always the very first thing we do in any NL programs, right? The command line is like the most important thing ever. No, it isn't. But this will be important because we're going to do you guys will do an exercise where you'll need to know how that works. And you'll be confronted to your first very complicated problem, which is how do you get a string from the input and make it into a number? And it's not exactly as straightforward as you would expect it to be, unfortunately. Not super complicated, but it's not Ruby.
It's not 2i.
It's almost 2i. It's
Okay, got it.
almost. If you've done any work with, again, Ruby or functional programming languages, you won't be surprised to know that it's possible to run transformations on data structures that are enumerable. The module you're looking for in the documentation is going to be enum, except for a couple of things which you might not expect to find somewhere else, which will be in the list. You can't do enum.first. You can do list.first. This is something that surprises me every once in a while still. But everything's an enum. And then I have to remember that, dot first on a map doesn't make sense. I'm not entirely sure. This is the first part where I want a bit of feedback on this. I decided to open with anonymous functions. Not entirely sure that's what will make the most sense to you all. But functions are first-class citizens, and therefore they can be passed around, they can be defined. And this is how you create them. I may have to actually point at things here. I will admit, I am unhappy with that period right there. I think it's awkward. I don't like it. But you also almost never use functions, anonymous functions, that way. You generally just pass them around and something else calls them. Other than the second to last line, how much of this makes some sense by reading it? All right, we have like 2 thumbs and a hand. Cool. The second to last line is syntactic sugar that defines exactly the same function as the line above. This is something that you may want to use if you do, enum work, when you have to just create an anonymous function for the purpose of transformations. I don't use them a lot because I find them a little bit obscure. I prefer to just do the longhand. But I haven't found a really good reason to go one way or the other, so I will let you explore and make your own decision. I'm pretty sure if you see another anonymous function in this talk, it's going to be longhand.
Is there a multi-line syntax for anonymous functions?
Yes, there is. I'm going to show that maybe on the next slide. Okay. But essentially, if you do function, arrow, next line, whatever, next line, whatever, next line, whatever, end. The thing about Elixir that I don't get into that in this talk, but when you're writing Elixir code, you're actually writing directly the abstract syntax tree for the language, which means you can actually write real Lisp-style macros, which is really, really cool. And also very mind-blowing. So, the usual rule about macros, right? Don't use them? Okay. If that joke didn't make sense to you, do not worry about it. It is...
Still don't use them.
Yeah, still don't use them. Wow, modules. I'm covering more than I thought before the first exercise. Okay. Sorry, I went through this like 2 or 3 times, and then I've been here 4 days, and I went hiking, and I went drinking, so I forgot everything. If you know Ruby really well, so like I will reference Ruby a lot because I came from Ruby, right? The syntax is similar, but a lot of things are very different. A module here in Elixir is just a way of grouping functions together. They can be whatever you want, but it's probably better for human beings if they're related. And the @static number is something that will be basically hard-coded into the Erlang at compile time. So it is not a class variable. It is not something that changes ever. It is defined to be whatever that is at compile time, and then that's the value all the time. This is something you probably will not get to use in this workshop, but you might, for all I know, right? They're exercises. You'll be the rulers of your own destiny. And I'd rather give you the tools than hide them from you.
Does it talk much about macro system or this later or
I do not get into macros in this talk because there's other things that are, I think, more valuable to know about how to use Elixir, like process work and stuff like that, using multiple processes. If you have questions about macros, I can probably help you out a little bit.
One question I had was so is the full breadth of the standard library available to you I would say @static _ file contents and then say file.read. Is that going to be available?
Yep, it's available. So what I have done actually last week, which I never ever thought I would do because it strikes me as horrible code, is I defined a module just like this, and then I just inline, not even @sign, just inline, I opened the file that had the JSON blob, and I parsed the JSON blob, and I made a change to it, and then I assigned that change to the @. And that was value that was usable only from inside the functions here. But this is just another place to write Elixir code. So there's nothing stopping you from doing absolutely the best and worst things that you can. Yeah, this is not a language like Java, which tries to kind of stop you from doing horrible things. In this language, you're welcome to do all the bad things in the world. Just please don't. We were all waiting for them. Here they are. Named functions. Finally, we can reason about things. If you wanted to call another function from inside, you can just use the name and call it that way. You'll notice this feels a lot more like the code you've probably written before. You don't have that dot in the middle. That doesn't make any sense. And from the outside of the module, you would just call it this way. What questions are there so far?
If we save this in a file, how do we load it in a REPL?
I should know this. I used to, yeah.
Space, the name of it.
Thank you. C is, yeah.
Run the EX from the same folder.
Yeah, it will compile it into the REPL.
Okay.
It's also amusing or interesting to kind of copy it into the REPL because you'll sort of see the live compiling and it will show you something that doesn't make any sense because it's an Erlang car list.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Does the spacing or the line breaks make any difference? Could you put Java spacing on one line?
So you can do almost anything you want. The convention in Elixir is 2 spaces. If you wanted to do a function in a single line, there is a different syntax for that, which I probably cover. If you really want to, I can show you.
No, that's interesting, but if you just put all that in one line, but it's still run.
Like in one line? Like def module, foo, do, def, double numbers?
Is the spacing relevant at all?
Oh, the spacing is not relevant, but the new lines are relevant, yes. Because that is one of the ways the abstract syntax tree is defined.
Is there anything like composite, like function composition or partial application in this?
Kind of. There are ways to do things like that.
And list the argument order map obviously matters.
Yes.
Usually you see the list first, I think.
You mean like seeing, oh, over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the reason the argument is first is because of the pipe operator, which we're going to cover in a couple of slides or maybe after the exercise. Because yeah. The idea is to be able to take, a data structure through a bunch of transformations in a way that's relatively elegant. Oh, hey, exercises. Aren't you all excited? I can read this out loud if you want, but I think you can all read. It's actually a serious question. Can you all read? Like, is it too small for the back?
It's good. It's fine. It's good.
Okay, all right. There's the one thing I forgot to fix. No. So this output is a representation of what it will look like, but you will see double quotes in the output. That is my apologies. I took this from another language. By the way, you're welcome to talk to each other at any point.
Quick question. I was trying to get the video up. Where are the slides?
So, are you into the functional programming Slack?
No, I don't know.
Okay. If you are in it, there is a channel. If you are not in it, I can send you a link.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry?
Yeah, that'd be great. Or you can just
it is. So, if you want a link, it's either, if you can read the top, it's there. Otherwise, blog.trevoke.net. Trevoke is my handle everywhere online. If you Google that, you'll see like everything I've done for the past too many years. And then /LC17, like LambdaConf 17, -intro-2-elixir.
Can you relate to this experience that many of these people are having?
Given that I have two microphones in front of my face, I'm not sure I can speak. I will plead the fifth, like they say.
No comment.
No comment. Oh, that's a good sentence.
I just got back okay. I did not do what I expected.
Ah.
Oh. Yeah. Yes.
Because of the name, but each return it's a whole. That's the add-on. Okay. Yeah. That's
What is that?
I only said what's in my head.
How are we doing? What progress are we making? Who's having success and who's having very unexpected behavior happening?
Yeah.
Okay, who has a working solution? Cool. Who's going to be brave and put that into the Slack channel? The next question is who has a solution that has errors or code that doesn't work, and then paste that into the channel too.
Is it a LambdaConf channel or is it a different one?
It is intro-2-elixir.
Okay. So I think that.
I wasn't going to claim that people were cheating if they're going to do list comprehensions or they know how to do map, whatever. For comprehensions. I mean, yes, for comprehensions do work in Elixir. They come from Erlang. They're fine. More cheating. All right. Raise your hand if you want a little more time on this. Cool.
What editor, is there an editor you can use the REPL with side by side?
I mean, I use Emacs, so my answer is Emacs.
Use that
But
terminal.
you need way more keyboards for using Emacs. Like at least 10 of them.
I'm okay with it.
One of the code docs. If you set up code correctly, you can do it in code too.
That's.
VS Code?
Oh yeah, that's true.
VS Code, so-
Yeah.
Yeah.
NeoVim also has a good terminal.
It's like the brain file
It's C, parentheses, and you also have to quote your file.
Oh, you gotta go file parts.
Yeah.
Do you mind if we move on? Like, are you stuck somewhere, or?
No, I'm having to look up string interpolation, and I'm just getting it. But you can move on.
Gotcha. Well, there are a bunch of examples now in the Elixir chat room. So,
I was trying to not.
but there's an element of, where figuring it out yourself is useful, but for something like this, it's just, this is how the language works, so. If you want to move on, the next exercise is going to be this one. This is mostly so that you go look at the string documentation, honestly. But
What's the file form for us? Like dot E?
dot .ex.
Yes.
I completely forgot I was talking to a room full of programmers who are used to putting their code in files. I taught at General Assembly for a year, and so in the first 2 or 3 days it's just REPL work, and no one knows you can put code in a file. So it didn't occur to me that you guys would ask those questions, which are completely reasonable.
How do you comment? What is a comment?
Octothorpe. £. Sorry.
Is that the French word for comment?
As far as I know, that's the proper English one. Octothorpe.
Octothorpe.
Yep.
That sounds like a
Sounds like a Bond.
Norwegian god.
I was thinking James Bond villain.
Yeah.
That's why I was planning on naming my first kid, actually. Well, Octothorpe.
What name did they end up with?
None yet.
Okay.
I got some good ones in mind, though, that I know like Octothorpe.
I'm sure they'll thank you. There was a middle name, maybe.
Vous habitez en France?
Non, j'habite à New York.
À New York?
Oui.
Ah, moi aussi.
Ah oui?
Oui. Mais vous venez de la France?
Ouais, mais je suis né en France.
Ah.
Mais ça fait 20 ans que j'habite à New York. I'm seeing a few frowns. Are there questions or problems?
Yeah, how do you pass a function to map without having to create like an anonymous function that like wraps it, passes the argument in?
You mean the
So I
ampersand?
was about like fm parentheses x. And
Yeah.
then the function that I want to call with x, but is there some syntax that I can just say like, okay, like enum.map the function without having to like wrap it in lambda?
Well, you define the function. If you're doing, hang on a second. Are you Morgan? No, that's you. Okay. Because you can just do this, but that's sort of what you have to do. Like, you have to pass a lambda, so you have to create the lambda.
Okay.
Because I was trying to do this similar thing.
Oh.
Just say string capitalize.
Right. Oh.
Just say that and then map call.
Well, Byron pasted how you do that.
The thing after the slash is the parity.
Emojis everywhere. I did not expect people to get to that. I think just anonymous function was good enough for this solution here, but you can absolutely do it that way as well. It is another reason to use the ampersand character to create an anonymous function.
This is similar in Ruby when you pass block like.
It's similar. You can think of it that way, but it is fundamentally different because you're really passing an actual function,
Yeah.
right?
What's the like when you say arity the slash one at the end?
The /1 arity is the number of arguments the function takes.
Yep.
Because it's possible to define a function with the same name that takes multiple arguments.
Okay.
or takes different numbers of arguments.
How would you do the same inline with 2 arguments?
The same.
The Byron solution with the ampersand.
You would just do /2 probably. Yeah. You would have to guarantee that however you're calling this is something that will pass 2 arguments to it. But yeah.
How does Barnes function with working context? Something we can do without the anomalous function and just put that.
Yes. You can do what Isa pasted. Is it Isa or Elza? Isaville? Somebody? Okay, cool.
No, I'm just.
Oh, that's neat.
Oh, so that's like passing a reference to the function.
Sorry?
It's like passing a reference to function. It's like when you pass ampersand name of thing to.
Yeah.
That's kind of like
Right.
I thought you said Isabel.
Well, I mean, I don't know how you pronounce that. This is the internet. So that was you? That was El Seville?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
This is the first one.
Good to see you again, by the way.
See you.
Okay.
Sorry, I can see you.
Raise your hand if you don't want to move on from this.
You can practice it all day.
Well, then you're in luck. The next 3 hours will be wonderful. And for some reason, this doesn't fit now. I don't know why. I hate everything. From working as a sysadmin, I've developed an appreciation for the fact that all hardware sucks and all software sucks. And now I write software, so the irony is pungent. After this exercise, we're going to take a break. So if you're reaching to, if you feel like it's been a lot of looking up documentation and typing weird things, you can breathe after this.
It's text.
Can you not see the full text on your thing either?
Be on the Slack.
No, hey, thanks. This is what I call teamwork. Apparently you pasted a tiny bit too much in there. The recursion pattern matching guard clauses, that's after the break.
Edit Slack.
Yeah, you press up by default. Cannot find what? For inputting, io.get string. And you pass one argument, which is the prompt that will be displayed.
Does it get in also?
Hmm?
Does it get in for numbers? Is that-
Yep, I think there is as well.
Literally tapping. They'll give you a number.
There is something like it, yeah.
It's not chop though.
It is not, but if you look at the list of functions in the string on the left side of the documentation, the one that you need will make sense. It's something like, I think it's strip. I can't remember. I have mostly given up remembering what's in the documentation because I can look it up. Trim. There you go. Raise your hand if you're not done with it and it's a personal matter to finish it. Your pride is on the line. Okay, all right.
So, how do you compile and run a file from the command line?
Just
rather than like pasting into
C space the name of the file. That's the correct folder.
right. That's from the
REPL.
just type Elixir.
If you just do Elixir, name of the file, it will run it. Yeah.
Okay.
How do you create the hashes? Oh, wait. Which ones? Are you looking for? Oh, a hash. Things that fall through the editing cracks. That's a map. I'm so sorry. 12 people looked at this. Nobody caught it.
They were probably all reviews.
That's at least 2 of them weren't, but yeah, fair enough.
That should be in the previous slide.
To create a map, it's just like $sign and then curly brackets, right? This is an empty map. I put it in the channel, sorry.
Maps is up a few slides. Regular ranges. Maybe.
So, I haven't really gotten
Will anybody be very angry at me if I paste a solution in the channel? Okay, all right.
You can paste anything you want.
When you get this loads from these, like you
Press.
right? So when you return, you get something, and then the returns you trim it, and then that returns you parse it. And that's generally it's just a tuple of like okay or error. The first one is a real number, and you can destructure it.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to get them in, so you get and you trim, then you parse. And you can do it like min or max.
Oh, that's more complicated than
I'm sorry.
you need.
And then you have
So
the number.
This works very well. It's just I haven't shown. I should have known that this path existed. That is the reason why this exercise is bad. Because I'm forcing you. You're using something that I haven't shown yet, which is destructuring. Which this can be done without it, but.
No, yeah, but I was like reading the documentation and
I see.
realized that bars returns you a tuple of
Right.
things. So
Is this not how?
sorry, I messed up the solution.
No, you didn't. You're good. That's interesting. So in the channel is one way to solve it. That'll be a little simpler than what he ended up with.
Team bigger. Like, say it returns only about you.
Right, yeah.
Map that put, it puts, it does an IO that put for each.
IO.put?
No, you have like map.put.
Yeah. I'm accumulating, so I'm just adding elements to the map,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And yeah, it's. I tried very hard to make it so that these exercises only taught one or maybe two new things at once, but every once in a while I just, fall through the cracks of my own assumptions and I forget that we haven't seen map.put. Well, it's not the best learning experience. Victory? Victory? Okay, good.
Is there a way to put a key on to do map.put?
How so other than map.put?
Yeah, like with
Well,
trying to remember something, or how I did it before.
Well, so because data structures are immutable, right?
Sure.
You have to create a new one when you make a change. And because we're trying to make everything as pipeable as possible, this is the only operation that I really know of. You can do map.merge as well.
So does Elixir do mass assignment?
Maybe?
Where I can do if min is greater than max, then min comma max equals max comma min.
You can do something like that, yeah. We don't use if statements a lot in Elixir because there are more powerful tools that express conditional things. And almost all of it is done with destructuring, pattern matching and destructuring. But for now, I wouldn't worry about a perfect solution. It's early in the day. Keep your brain power for, the rest of the exercises. All right, it is now time officially for a 5-minute break. Get up, stretch, come ask me questions, throw things at me.